Hey guys, welcome back to Wargaming channel. We're here with part 2 of Wargaming miniature review. We're going to be talking about Warhammer 40,000 by Games Workshop. Definitely brought to you in part by Army Transport, or your storage of miniatures du jour. Because this game system is just developed around the notion of huge waves of armies smashing up against one another. Not played on a map like D&D miniatures. Instead, it uses a 6x4 table for its standard missions, and through the use of Apocalypse, quite honestly, the sky's the limit for how big a tabletop surface may be. Terrain is actually added to the table, and the game system does allow for two-dimensional terrain, but it definitely promotes a certain degree of three-dimensional terrain as a asset to playing through the various missions. Especially in the introduction of 5th edition, which is the current rule set, which utilizes true line of sight. One of the pros of the game has to be its marketability through simple demos. If not only by playing this game, but simply witnessing it, people can get sucked in and immediately drawn into the excitement of the game. The second pro that I gotta say is the fluff that GW has put around this entire universe, which is so expansive that it allows for personalization both in paint scheme and in playstyles for pretty much every army that they have developed. And the number of armies are not few by any stretch of the imagination. Most of you guys know that I play Black Templar, and this is my Tron Templar, small piece of my Tron Templar. And this is one of maybe 4 different army transport bags that I have to store all this stuff. Unlike Dungeons & Dragons miniatures, Warhammer 40,000 is not a collectibles game. When you buy a particular pack of miniatures, guess what? You get those miniatures, which can be beneficial, especially when you are wanting a particular piece to add to your army. The longevity of this game is definitely another pro, and it's currently in its 5th incarnation. Its first sometimes being referenced as Rogue Trader. Me personally, I have played Rogue Trader, skipped 2nd edition, played a little 3rd, played a little of 4th, and have kind of dove headfirst back into 5th edition. Another pro is that because it's been around for so long, tons of fan-based websites that range the span from how to set up an army list to YouTube videos on how to play 5th edition Warhammer 40K exists out there and can help guide you into this game quicker. Let's go and talk about some of the negatives. The same thing that gives this game its strength is also its greatest weakness, namely that the army promotes the notion of huge armies battling out one another. Well, that means you got to go buy a fairly sizable army to get the true enjoyment of this game. And the miniatures themselves aren't cheap. Combined with that, a fact of something that we've talked about extensively, so I'll just kind of dust over this, the fact that GW is in a habit of promoting a certain level of codex escalation, which is sort of a way to kind of force people to purchase multiple armies. It can get expensive very quickly. Add to that the fact that three-dimensional terrain is so useful in this game, and quite often can be quite expensive just to set up a table. My last negative element is the fact that this game actually has a fairly dense set of rules, and while not truly complicated, can often lead to people promoting the notion of selectively forgetting rules to gain a tactical advantage, which I find absolutely disgusting. And you know, when you forget a rule and it's not intentional, that's one thing, but to actually promote cheating as a way to play this game, well, you kind of can see the level of competitiveness that surrounds this game. Overall, I got to give GW props for creating just a recognizable game that, especially through their use of turning to Relic Studios and creating the Dawn of War software franchises, slowly helping to push forward some of the tabletop notions. But I do have to warn new users who have not experienced tabletop gaming before that this might not be the game for you. It is just there's just so many things and such a fairly high level of expense just to get into this game. and then keep up with it as GW switches out the rule sets. That's it for Warhammer 40,000, and up next we're going to be talking about Privateer Press Warmachine and Hordes.